From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. On today's show, we discuss our unjust society. Why is it that when I duct tape a banana to the wall, I'm yelled at and accused of making a mess, but others can sell it for $120,000?
And this can eat it.
And other topics we will discuss. And now, broadcasting from the Churn, that guy's Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
I saw that. Somebody ate that dude's banana off the wall.
Yep.
Is that real? Did somebody actually ate it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw the video of the guy eating it.
It was like a performance art piece.
Yeah.
The guy eating it.
So then it becomes this question of when my art interacts with your art and you yell at me for violating your art, but then I can yell at you for violating my art. My performance art was eating that banana.
I think at the end of the day, we just need to put an end to vandalism.
Okay, there it is. Yeah,
I thought you were
just
gonna
don't
say
do
art.
that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it. Let's go to like the
Put an end to
Equilibrium
art.
Society. Let's just get rid of all art. Oh man, so it's been a while since we've done a recording, man. We were banked up for a while. We just crossed 100. This is episode 101. Nick has a 6-pack of Guinness in front of him from a bet that I lost. If you'd like to hear all about that, become a Patreon member and hear about it in the early show.
Muchas gracias.
I survived Spirit Airlines, also discussed at length in Patreon. And if you're not a member, this is the time to do it because there was some interesting sexual advances made upon me by a fellow passenger on Spirit. And this was discussed also at length.
Interesting is a strong word.
I feel that I handled it the right way. Just curl up and avoid. This is how I generally deal with conflict in my life. I just clutch my knees to my chest and hide.
Yeah.
And I got through it. But I was flattered. I was very flattered. You know?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody tries to take advantage of you on a flight. You know, you can look at that two ways. You can be upset about it or you can say, oh my God, thank you.
Take advantage. Another strong word.
Yeah.
Somebody was offering me
Worst
fun
case
times.
scenario here is being hit on.
Yes. Thank you. I was. And I was flattered by it. So good times. So we had a really good time. So
Definitely.
A-block items, to cover. We got some stuff fizzling around instead of doing informational stuff. Nick, you have a
Yes.
box.
I do have a box.
We have a box.
It is official.
We
Jacob.
have a box for
This
Jacob.
is for you.
Oh, you have something for me?
I do.
Yes, it is a
Oh,
white
nice.
box.
It is.
He is opening it now.
It's a fleshlight.
It is.
Add it
Nailed
to your collection. Use it in good health. It is.
There's a blank.
That's a blank.
there's
the
card.
blank
There's more.
It's just a box of blank cards.
They are business cards.
Yes.
Audio guy life coaching.
Yes.
Listening for a living, just not to you.
Yep.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Jacob Smith.
It's
And
fine.
on the back it says, Jacob Smith, uncertified life coach. Phone, I'll call you. No refunds.
No refunds.
Results may vary.
Congratulations,
You
man.
are official.
You're official
All right.
now. Now, if anybody needs any help, you can check
I
with
can
Jacob.
coach the fuck out of him.
Yes.
Yeah, I want him to just randomly use these in life, like if he goes like that
yeah,
movie
yeah.
theater thing. Just
Yeah.
kick out that card and be like, "Hey, don't give me a call.
So
I'll
if you
call
ever if you're
There you go,
ever
buddy.
if you're ever traveling on Spirit Airlines and somebody says, "Oh my God, is there a doctor on board?"
you." Life coach.
You
Yeah.
still can't say yes, but
Excuse
say,
me, I'm a life
am
coach.
A life coach.
Where does it hurt? My chest.
Remember
that will happen.
That Family Guy episode where Peter gets a CPR card and then he uses that for everything.
Yeah, no.
It was like,
Always like flashing
Yeah.
it like a badge.
yeah, it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
I'm CPR certified, and he goes. And he's,
Excuse me. Step aside. So congratulations, you are now officially a life coach.
Good.
There it
Yep.
is. That's
I
all
feel
it
good
takes.
about this.
Yes, all you need
Yep.
is a business card.
Yeah.
So
that is,
Yeah.
I think, all you need.
yeah, we stopped short of creating you a website.
We actually,
Whenever he texts me, he's like, "Hey man, I'm working on these cards. Do you have any ideas?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, here's a good slogan." And we're kicking ideas back and forth. I was like, "Yeah, I'm actually on GoDaddy right now trying to find a URL." And I was like, "Maybe we should stop." I think that's probably the bright line that we should stop, because if somebody Googles this man's name, now there's going to be a website he didn't create that references him. That's probably not a good idea. So
And you're actually setting me up now to be a life coach. If you go so far as to do a website, like
well, if we're going to do the website, we're also going to put in the billing system. I mean, like, you know.
I mean, you're setting up for terrible things at that
Yeah,
point.
and we're also going to get an office. I mean, there has to be
by
an
the
address.
way, we did rent you an office.
Yeah, I mean, we
Here,
got
you're
you an
gonna-
office. And, it's not going to be vacant. We've got desks in there and stuff
Yeah.
too. So
Secretary.
Yeah, we've got your secretaries. We don't want to be half-assed about this.
The
Right.
lengths that we'll go to for a good joke.
Yeah. This is why we're not comedians. I think this is why we're really bad at humor.
The hardest,
The lengths that we'll go to for an okay joke.
the hardest part about this joke was hiring the staff.
Yeah,
It really was.
the hardest part was,
Yeah.
man, we really went in debt for this. But I feel like it killed. I feel like the reveal just now
Yeah.
it really
Totally-
worked.
Totally worth
I
it.
mean, like everybody listening is like, ha, great. Great job, guys. So
They're
now
good
he's
looking
official.
business cards.
Yeah.
They are. I was
Yeah.
a little disappointed that the print came out a little small, but
I don't know. I
Whatever.
think it's good.
I think they'll work. They'll
think it's
work for the purpose.
I think it's a fine business card.
it's fine.
it's fine.
It's fine.
This is fine.
Yeah.
Nick,
Yes.
you worked hard on something, and you succeeded. Good
Yeah.
job.
Hey,
Good job.
Wow.
See? He's got
he's
it.
got it.
He's
He's
got
really
it.
got it.
Don't downplay yourself. You're doing great.
Wow.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I feel good basking in the light that
I
you're
feel-
shining in right now.
I feel better about Jacob as a life coach than any intern I've had.
yeah.
I like this,
Yeah.
just the sense of pride that I have right now
Yeah.
that I finally created.
This is the one.
So, yeah,
this is the
one.
He made it. This is the one. We'll be watching him on Oprah one day. He'll be the new Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
So, Jacob, when did you become a life coach? Shit.
These guys gave me some business cards.
Yeah, these dudes that I know gave me business cards
here I am.
as a joke. And here I am. Whatever happened to those guys? I don't know.
I'm sure they're fine.
They're somewhere. I stopped talking to them
I'm sure
years ago.
I'm sure they landed on their feet.
Yeah, they text a lot. I blocked them. I don't know where they are. What were their names? That's not important. All right. So fun times. And then, Jacob, you were saying you had something going on holiday? What did you say? about holiday stuff?
So I've got an interesting thing happening over the holidays.
Okay.
My brother called me. I've got family coming into town.
Good.
And it's good. And I should preface this. This is all a good thing.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all a very good thing.
Yes.
My brother calls me up a few weeks back and says that might come down to Vegas for the holidays. Great.
Yeah.
You mean like you and your wife, or you gonna bring mom? What's going on? And he goes, well, yeah. Me and my wife, mom, and then dad and his wife.
Oh, he's bringing the whole posse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that sounds great. My mom and dad have kind of become buddies since pretty much since my brother got married.
Okay.
How long ago was that?
A few years.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is all a great thing. I'm excited that everybody's going to be in town for the holidays and all. Weird thing that I realized a few days later that I've kind of unpacked since then. But a weird thing that I realized a few days later was it will be the first time in right around 30 years that I will wake up on Christmas morning in a house with both of my parents in the house.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I realized that and just kind of sat there and went, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your parents are still married or divorced? Or?
No. My dad is married to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
That was the part I picked up. Okay, I just wasn't sure.
You
I
weren't
listen to people
listening.
for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all going to be in the same house, though? So
Yeah.
everybody's staying at your house?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Like I said, I'm happy that
Everybody gets
everybody's
along?
doing it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to
Yeah.
be easy. Yeah, that's really nice.
I'm really looking forward to the whole because they're my mom and brother and sister-in-law are going to be in town for I think 6 days,
Okay.
and my dad and his wife are going to be in town for 5 days.
Okay.
And my dad and stepmother are getting in a day before the other
Dang,
three
that's
are.
really cool, man. It's a
Yeah.
very Brady Christmas.
Yeah.
That's going to be really cool. First time since you were a kid.
How long ago were they divorced?
About 30 years.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
completely used to it. Everybody gets along.
Right.
Everybody's fine.
Oh no, it'll be. I think it'll be lovely. I
Yeah.
really do.
Are you all going to get matching pajamas for Christmas morning?
Of course.
I feel like you should. This is your chance. You should get family pictures, by the way, with everybody in town.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll take a picture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, family pictures. Like, you
We're not
get
going to go to
somebody
Sears
do it.
and
That's what you do.
get a picture taken.
That's what you do. You go to Sears and you stand there in pain.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to do that.
Okay, I'm sure we'll take a selfie at some point.
Yeah.
And there will be photo evidence of this encounter.
Like somebody will prop up a phone on something and set a timer.
Yeah, there will be that. That's exciting, though, man. That's a really big thing. Yeah, everybody comes down for the holidays.
Well, I'm trying to think of the last time that I had that too. Waking up on Christmas Day with
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's
wow. I don't.
Been a long time.
Yeah, I know mine. Mine was 10 years ago, and so. But that's actually a big part of why the trip to Florida was a big deal, because I haven't gone there in 10 years. My parents had split up. They got a divorce. But it was 10 years ago that we were all still in the same house. Everything was cool. I took my kid down there, visited, did the whole Christmas thing. It was right after that they ended up ending their marriage, and that was fine. And then for 10 years, I just never went back. Everybody come to me. And so, went out there for Thanksgiving and did that. Did my birthday out there.
Your dad was there?
No, Dad was here in Vegas, but that's the first time I've even been around all the Florida people.
Right.
But when I think of the last Christmas where everybody was in one house, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
wow.
that's
we all three have divorced parents.
Yeah. I think that's super common now.
This is
I don't think that makes any of it special.
Yeah. No. People are listening like, what's that like?
No, I bet you guys had a similar experience to this. When I was a kid, a young child, like kindergarten, first grade, it was uncommon for the kids to have divorced parents.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know if that's a sign of the times or if that's just everybody that I'm talking about was 5, 6 years old.
Right.
And so they just had
it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Your worldview was a lot narrower. You knew fewer people.
Yeah, and also
I'm just talking about like
couples are more likely to stay together whenever the kids are still quite young.
5 years.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But 15 years is a bigger ask.
Yeah, like my parents split up after my sister and I were pretty much adults. So it wasn't
same as my parents.
Yeah, so
I was
that's
in college
different.
when my parents got divorced.
But no, the statistics are there that divorces are much more common. I think that we're having a different kind of association with what it means. But yeah, it's interesting to me because whenever people get remarried, and that was another thing I did during this trip is I met my my mom's husband. And she's been married 9 years, 8 or 9 years.
And you've never met him?
Never met him. Never gone down there. I'm aware of his existence, and I've never had reason to talk to him or anything like that.
Have you FaceTimed with him?
Never have talked to him. Never nothing.
My question is, when you walked into the room, did you know who he was?
Yes, I did. But
so you've seen pictures and things like that.
Yes, from her stuff, her Facebook and stuff. But yeah, met him, and
so it wasn't a surprise. You got married,
Mom? What the hell?
9 years ago?
What? Who even are you? Where's Dad? Vegas. He's been here the whole time. It was interesting.
You're never have meeting your stepfather for 9 years.
Whoa! Let's backpedal.
What?
Let's backpedal on that word. Stepfather? No, he's my mom's husband. That's the deal. I was an adult, guys. I was 25.
There is a lot more to unpack here than on my mind.
No.
Okay, so as your first day as a life coach, Jacob.
Here we go.
Shit. What's really funny about that is the first time that I referred to my dad's wife as a stepmother to my dad, he had a similar reaction to that.
Oh, your father's
really?
reaction was, whoa, bud, she's not your stepmom.
No, he didn't say anything. It was he kind of cringed and was like, I don't really know how I feel about that word.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's
my
how
response to him was what my response to you is about to be, which is
that's definition.
Just what it's called.
That's what that title is.
Yeah,
it's just what it is.
To me,
there doesn't have to be anything that goes along with it. That's just what that's
no.
What
I
it's
feel
called, though.
you're right. I do think that phrase is a fair objective descriptor.
So maybe settle down a little bit.
Yeah. It's a little tender, isn't it?
Yeah.
You mean that blinking red thumb you just stepped on?
It's been 9 years, kiddo.
No, it went really well. It went really
Good.
well, and it was super peaceful, and it was just, hey, here we are. We did Thanksgiving and all that stuff. They have a lovely home. They welcomed us in there. It was great. So, and I also got to meet my mom's sister, who we didn't know existed. And just discovered that she existed, and they never knew.
Showed up for the holidays.
Just showed up, yeah. What happened? But yeah, my mom did not know
dong.
her whole life. She had a biological sister, a half sister from her dad's side, and just discovered this person a year ago. And so I met her and her son and the grandkids, and holy cow, that was happening. I met my sister's boyfriend, her really serious boyfriend. My sister came out and brought her boyfriend down. I met him. So yeah,
9 years. They've been dating for about 9 years?
Yeah, they've been dating for 9 years. Apparently, he's got my brother-in-law. I had no idea. They have great children. I had no idea. Yeah, I need to use the internet for more things than just yelling on Twitter. Apparently. But no, I met a lot of people, so it was good. I had a really good time. It was exhausting. And we did Disney World, and I spent an entire day just marching around Disney World. Everything hurt. Everything hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be on team Disney World is overrated. I don't know how you guys feel about this. It has not changed at all. It's a small world. And like Pirates of the Caribbean, like got a barely facelift with the new Jack Sparrow thing. But otherwise, all the rides you grew up with, they've never changed. And for $150 a ticket, I feel that they have enough. This is the largest media company with the best IP in the world. They don't incorporate it because they don't need to, because everybody keeps buying tickets. Nothing has changed.
I mean, I've only been there once, so I would tend to believe you, but you lost a lot of credibility with Cosmos. So
Oh, come on. Let it go.
So
Cosmos is crap. Cosmos 2 has a chance.
Yeah,
but here's the
so
thing.
now
Like,
I think
That's where he
Disney-
lost a lot of credibility?
I was hanging on for years.
Oh yeah, I was totally Team Jim up until that.
Yeah, that was the moment, Jim, where I thought maybe this guy does not think he knows as much. No, but like Splash Mountain like references like Briar Rabbit, and I'm like, I don't even remember these cartoons. Like they're vaguely racist. Like I don't know what's going on. I don't know it. Like that's still there.
Well, Burr Rabbit was that's from Song of the South.
Yeah.
That's from the.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
That's because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and there's still a whole
Disney
thing.
Disney has wiped it from everything.
Yeah, except that ride. And
Right.
like it's still there, still operational, still the longest line in the park. You go to the Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland is retro's 1950s. Everything is a throwback future reference to what the future was believed to be like in the 50s.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like the newest ride they have is Buzz Lightyear. But Toy Story came out 20 years ago.
But
Like,
now-
that's the newest thing they have.
But it sounds like you just went to was that Magic Kingdom?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you didn't go to the other parks.
No, and I'm told that that's where all the cool stuff is, like the
Okay.
more updated stuff. But
Because I haven't been. I mean, I've been in Disneyland once or Disney World once.
yeah,
And yeah, I was probably 14.
yeah. It's same. It hasn't changed. Go back. It's the same exact thing.
I believe Magic Kingdom it probably hasn't changed.
No.
because
And that's their bit. I
that's
think
kind
that's
of the
bit.
nostalgia bit.
That's
Like,
what they're
that's-
doing. Their
that's kind
chief
of the nostalgia
export.
park.
Yep, their chief export is nostalgia.
But the other parks, as I understand it, are radically different.
Yeah, that's what I hear too. I've never been to any of them, but I was expecting to see Star Wars Land because I thought that they had the Galaxy's Edge thing, and they didn't. It wasn't at
No,
Magic
that's just in
Kingdom.
Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
That's in the one that's a couple-hour drive from here.
Yeah,
You can just go see it tomorrow.
the one you don't have to.
The one you don't need to board Spirit for.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Spirit did very good. And it was funny because at one point you were tweeting me and you called it like the Taco Bell of airlines or something like that.
And then Taco Bell got
And then I
pissed.
tried to reach out to Taco Bell and be like, hey, man, you could sponsor the show. Like, I consider us the Taco Bell of therapy podcasts.
I didn't follow. I didn't follow the tweet after that, but I'm guessing you did not get a reply.
No. No. Taco Bell did not reach out. So
Okay.
did not reply to my request for information.
So we're not getting all the chalupas we can eat.
No. I don't believe we're going to be paid in shredded lettuce anytime soon. So lots happened. Good trip. Had a good time. How was your Thanksgiving, guys? What'd you guys do?
Went over to Laura's family's house, and that
Oh,
was
yeah.
pretty much it.
Everything went okay?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
was nice.
it was my job to bring pumpkin pie, so I did.
Mm-hmm.
And
Success.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
That was
And
a
then
win.
Somebody else had also brought pumpkin pie,
Oh.
so I'm like, awesome.
Did you fight to the death?
I'm taking my pumpkin pie back home with me
Oh, yeah.
to join the other pumpkin pie that I bought because I bought two, one for me and one to take to the party.
Yeah.
And,
you are a
yeah.
fan of pumpkin pie.
I love. Oh God, it was so good. And it was gone in 2 days. Like I ate 2 full pies.
To be clear, are you eating the pumpkin pie, or is this like this exciting sexual
I don't
thing?
see how it's relevant.
Okay,
I
no, it's
bought
not my
them.
business.
I
Not my
paid
business.
for them.
Yeah,
It's
no,
my
it's
money.
what
They're
you do
paid
with
for.
that
I
pie.
own the pies.
Not my business.
He eats them eventually.
Yeah,
Yes.
eventually I save a slice. I'm not an animal. What'd you do for Thanksgiving, Jacob?
We had a couple people over and just and did that. Then we had both SJ and I had shows
Oh,
that
that's
night.
right. You guys had to perform.
So we did stuff during the day, and then went and sat and tried not to fall asleep during shows that night.
Yep, with a belly full of turkey.
Yep.
So hopefully all the listeners had a good Thanksgiving. If you didn't, write in. Tell
Yeah,
us about it.
Tell us about your Thanksgiving nightmares. We tried to prep you. Probably didn't do a great job of that, but we tried. Damn it, we tried. And my phone has been ringing off the hook. I'll have you know. As soon as after Thanksgiving, all of a sudden you get a bunch of emails and Googles and everything else. So the world is spinning, man.
And
It's Therapist
Googles.
Super Bowl and Googles, and the old Google machine.
Yeah.
People typing in Lee sued therapist Las Vegas.
Least?
Yeah.
That's a change.
And then they scroll down to Jim.
Yeah. On page 10, they find me. Warrant for Jim. Anyway.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about anxiety disorders. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
This week's TheraProducer sponsor is David Data Scoop Violon. Violon is a week-long annual celebration held in the United States and other nations of the African diaspora in the Americas to honor African heritage and African American culture. It is observed from December 26th to January 1st, culminating in gift-giving and a feast. Violon has 7 core principles called the Nguzo Saba. It was created by Maulana Karenga and was first celebrated in 1966. If you'd like to join David Data Scoop Violon and make the show possible, you can go to www.patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's www.patreon.com/therapy.
We're back. You're listening to Pod Therapy. Our next question is about dealing with generalized anxiety disorder.
Hello, I have a generalized anxiety disorder and have experienced depression in the past. The depression is not a real issue right now, thankfully. The anxiety is what I'm trying to work on now. I started a new job about 5 months ago and now have good insurance. While I'm enjoying the job, I haven't had time to go to the doctor with the amount of overtime that has been available at work. I currently take 20 milligrams of paroxetine. I ran out of this medication and am wondering if the symptoms I'm experiencing could be related to stopping the medication cold turkey. I'm not sure if this is possible given the dose I'm on is low. I've been having some trouble sleeping and dealing with some nausea as well. Thankfully, I was able to get a refill today, but was without the medication for a week. Also, how long before the medication levels are in my system at a therapeutic level? I'm sorry this email is a bit convoluted. Thanks for your time. I look forward to the show every week. THERAPAL Stacy C.
Okay, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
I'm not, I should start by saying I'm not a doctor.
But you play one on TV?
And every time I fly Spirit.
That's right.
So I'm not really familiar too much with paroxetine. I know it's an SSRI, but how long it takes to get into your system as a therapeutic level, is it pretty similar to every other SSRI?
It is. So, and this, I'm actually really glad for this question, even though obviously anytime we get medical questions or things about medicine, we're always really reluctant to speak super directly to the case because we always defer to your prescriber, and we always want that person to be the one to give you feedback on a medicine, and we always want you to report back to them what you're feeling. But I think that this question opens a good door. On the show, a lot, we have talked about being pro-medicine, that we're great with it. We think that there's, great room for this. Even though Nick and I do not prescribe medicines, we're the organic option.
I prescribe medicine.
Jacob does prescribe medicines.
Officially today.
As of today, you can definitely go to Jacob.
Illegally.
He's got a lot in his garage.
Illegally.
They're all illegal.
But he does.
Yeah, whatever you want.
They do stuff, though.
Yeah, you can get an orange pill bottle, and there will be all sorts of colors in that thing. We have no idea what does what, but whatever's bothering you won't be bothering you no more.
Be fine.
You'll be fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
That's the audio guy guarantee.
It's fine.
So yeah, we're pro medicine. We don't script it. Our job is to kind of be the adjunct with it. Medications almost never solve the problem on their own. However, they are very, very, very much a useful tool. And it depends on what you're going through. So in this case, Stacy, the writer, is talking about depression and also anxiety. And as everybody heard, the medicine that she's on, let me scroll back, paroxetine. Yeah. So paroxetine is an SSRI. And SSRI stands for serotonin...
Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
So the way that that's working is essentially serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's in the brain, similar to things like dopamine. And essentially what this medicine does is it stops the brain from kind of reabsorbing serotonin that's sort of already in the tissue, allowing there to be a little bit more of a dense chemistry of that biochemical. Why does that help? Well, ultimately, by having more of that neurotransmitter, what we've discovered is that that can dampen the effects of depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety, both of which can be controlled with cognition and therapy, but ultimately, what you're experiencing with depression and anxiety is this interesting mix of psychology and biology, right? Because you're perceiving yourself in the world a certain way. That's causing your brain and body to react in a very primal way, which is then reinforcing the way you're seeing the world, and then you get stuck in this loop. So the medicine has a great effect. It usually doesn't just sweep away all the problems. But it usually does bring down the peaks of anxiety and bring up sort of the troughs of depression. And so it's very much a tool. So other SSRIs that you'll probably hear about, if you've ever heard of Prozac, Zoloft, aka sertraline, fluoxetine, these are all SSRIs. So what's interesting about this is when you think about antidepressants, anti-anxieties, there's sort of three go-tos that docs will use. The original anti-anxiety, anti-depression medicine were MAOIs, MAOs. And so these were a different class. We call them a first-generation psych drug, whereas SSRIs and TCAs is the other type, tricyclic anxiolytics, I think. Those ones are what we call second generation. And so that's all jargony stuff, but basically here's the thing you need to know. SSRIs, like the writer's taking, these are some of the most longitudinally tested medicines that are out there. They are very gentle. They do not have very bad effects. Yes, like all medicines, they can have an effect on a person. Some folks will report that they'll have runny bowel movements for a little while. Some people will report they might have headaches during the loading time when they're getting on the medicine or when they're getting off the medicine. But generally, they're mild. Some folks will report that they feel a little tired when they take the medicine. It's not like Benadryl tired. It's just, you come down a couple of points on the energy scale. But these things are so gentle that in order for them to work, it takes at least 2 weeks of taking them regularly without any misses. And that just allows that serotonin to build up in the brain and to kind of permeate through the neurons to actually get to a therapeutic level where there's enough dampening of serotonin that you're going to experience the therapeutic value of that. So this medicine is so gentle that it can take a month, 6 weeks before somebody even realizes the full therapeutic benefit of it. Stopping it cold turkey is ill-advised generally, but it's also not the end of the world. When people stop at cold turkey, they might have dizziness, they might have some nausea, they might have irritability, insomnia. It's not advised, but it's also not headaches is very common, but it's not considered dangerous necessarily. But again, we always defer on these kinds of questions to your prescriber. We do not have medical advice for you. We are therapists answering life questions.
Yeah.
And providing education. Board of Examiners, you heard that, right?
Not always, not everybody will experience withdrawal symptoms either. So,
No.
But I mean, it seems like from what Stacy is reporting those are common withdrawal symptoms, flu-like symptoms, insomnia.
Yeah.
So that does happen occasionally with SSRIs.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of SSRIs. And generally, guys, if you go to your general practitioner, your family doctor, and you tell them, listen, I've been feeling depressed, maybe seasonally depressed, or I've been feeling quite anxious, it's not uncommon that they'll ask you a quick screening question test. It's usually 10 questions about what you're experiencing. And it's very common that they're comfortable scripting you SSRIs. Even though you think of these as psych medicines, they are so gentle. I teasingly call this the Tylenol of mental health. It's so gentle. It's not that bad. It's low milligrams. And so your GP, your general physician, they'll usually provide this. Now, they'll usually say, hey, listen, I'm going to script you this. I'd like you to consider seeing a therapist, right? They're usually going to defer and say, at some point, I'd like you to work with a therapist. If you keep asking me to just re-up these forever, I'm going to ask, have you visited with a therapist? But for right now, here's a 30-day supply. Go ahead and get started, because that's how gentle these are. Now, this is different than something like a Xanax,
right?
Which, that's a tricky one. And I think you and I both have kind of a love-hate relationship with Xanax.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a benzodiazepine is the classification. There's dependence potential with that, as well as some pretty serious withdrawal symptoms.
Very similar to alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to biochemically work almost the same way as alcohol, which is why people that become dependent or abusive of Xanax or benzodiazepine also tend to abuse alcohol along with it. And this is why if you're an alcoholic and you're having anxiety and you go to a doctor and you tell them, yeah, I'm a recovering alcoholic, I have anxiety, can you give me Xanax? A lot of times they'll go, no.
Hopefully.
It's contraindicated. Yeah. The good doctors will say no. But when people think about becoming dependent on a drug, Xanax or benzodiazepines, those are the ones you could become dependent on. SSRIs, no. They're not tasty. They're not exciting. They don't do anything for you. They do not induce euphoria. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to even realize why you're taking them. So they are the Tylenol of mental health. But very effective, and I don't mind sharing, and I've told my patients this. Everybody that listens to our show regularly knows I've had a history with anxiety too, and I've taken Zoloft. and taking sertraline, low dose of it, and from time to time might be on it for 3 months and just kind of even out again. And when the symptoms start to aside and I feel like, okay, I feel recalibrated, I'll come off of it again. And usually there's a weaning process we'll recommend. And again, I always defer to your prescriber, but the prescriber will tell you the weaning process, and they'll usually make recommendations like cutting the pills in half or skipping a day or whatever until you're finally off of them. That's just to avoid things like headaches.
Right.
That's really it. It's there can be some withdrawal symptoms because again, we're playing with the computer that's on your shoulders, right? And so we're doing this long-term process of recalibrating the chemicals, and then there's sort of a rebalancing process too. So you generally do want to start things. Always take as prescribed, and I'm not surprised you had those symptoms. It could have been the cold turkey thing. I'm glad your supply got re-upped. Glad it got refilled. And for anybody that's ever been interested in these medicines and things like that, don't be afraid to ask, guys. Don't be afraid. Tell your general doc. You don't even need to see a psychiatrist half the time. They'll ask you some questions, and if you want to give it a shot, there's, guys, it's okay. There's no stigma to taking meds. I've taken meds. I recommend them for most of my patients. I think it's a great resource, a great tool, and very low consequences or side effects, especially with SSRIs, one of the most longitudinally tested medicines we have. Very gentle.
I just love the idea of not even just the idea. I love meds.
Yeah,
I think it's everything you just said. I agree with all of it.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, really, it's just sometimes you
Feel
just need
better.
that little rebalance of the chemicals in your head. It's not a big deal to take those meds when you need them. That's what you need. It's fine.
Yeah, no, there's no stigma to it. And
Yeah.
people don't think about this, but the brain, we compare it to a computer and all these other things, it is this slosh of different neurotransmitter chemicals that are all pumping through you at all times. Imagine it like a whole room of faucets with all these different chemicals that can come on and off. All these meds are doing is changing that. It's turning some faucets lower, turning some faucets higher, and like Jacob said, recalibrating.
Right.
And, there's usually a getting to know you time where your brain and body are getting adjusted to the effects of the meds, but give it time and you'll usually see that they work. But that's the thing about psych meds, too. They usually take a little while.
Yeah.
Unlike a benzodiazepine, which is just a legit narcotic, and that'll work in 10 minutes or less.
Well, I mean, even when we're talking about medication-assisted therapies for opiate use disorder treatment, a lot of people are opposed to that because they feel like, well, you're just switching one substance for another. But that's kind of a it's kind of a naive way of looking at it.
It's not apples to apples.
It isn't. It isn't at all. And basically it's a clinical tool. If the science is there, you have the science, why would we not use it?
Right.
Right? Doesn't make sense.
Whatever you're taking whatever your doctor is giving you is better than the heroin that you were on before.
Exactly. So yeah, it's medications are a good thing. I'm pro medication, especially using it, even as like we said, not everything is going to be fixed with medication, but at least that can be a crutch that allows the person to actually function.
Yeah.
To be able to get into therapy, and then we can deal with some
part
of
of the
stuff.
path.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a clinical tool.
It might not be the ultimate solution, but it is part of the path.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you for writing in. That was a really good question.
So we're going to jump to the commercial, but you and I were discussing in the Patreon part kind of what the lineup was. I think we should stick to the script. I just reread that email, and I think we just need to reply to that directly.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should stick to that method.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Yep. So we'll break and we'll jump in with the script one.
Cool. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will discuss the future of therapy. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
I like that question.
I know.
This week's TheraProducer sponsor is Judy Schneider. Schneider is a Yiddish word and a Jewish festival commemorating the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem at the time of the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire. It is also known as the Festival of Lights. Schneiderika is observed for 8 nights and days, starting on the 25th day of Kislev, according to the Hebrew calendar, which may occur at any time from late November to late December in the Gregorian calendar, very near Toyotathon. The festival is observed by lighting the candles of the candelabrum with 9 branches called a menorah. One branch is typically placed above or below the others, and its candle is used to light the other 8 candles. The unique candle is called a shamash. Each night, one additional candle is lit by the shamash until all 8 candles are lit together on the final night of the festival. If you'd like to join Schneiderika and help make the show possible, you can go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's www.patreon.com/therapy.
We're back. You're listening to Pod Therapy. Our next question is about the future of therapy.
I like this one. Okay. Hey, Pod Therapy. This is Zach, in parentheses, Jim's patient with the fastest anxiety recovery, end parentheses. I want to get you and Nick's opinion on mental health in the future. What do you think future therapy sessions will be like in like 40 years? Do you think there will be a machine that can scan your mental problems away like the movies? I also feel like in the future, mental health will not have the stigma it does. Mental health is just as important as physical health, if not more. Thanks, guys. I listen to the show regularly. Take care, Zach.
This is a really interesting question.
I like
this one too. Yeah, because I think it is kind of fun to think about, to daydream and think about what therapy is going to be like in 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, will we be able to plug our brains into a machine or some kind of scanner and then just get, you know, a medication that we take that rebalances everything and then gets everything organized? It's kind of fun to think about.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's going to be the case.
No.
I think I'm really excited for all the stuff that we're learning about the brain and how the brain functions and all of this stuff. Like we are scratching the surface of understanding the brain. Yeah. You know, and even just looking at addiction treatment in the last 10 years, how that's come along and how we're treating opiate use disorder and using, as I said earlier in the show, medication-assisted therapies, you know, and the effects that has and how that's such a useful clinical tool to use. I think we're going to see more of that in a lot of the other disorders. Talk therapy or psychotherapy, I don't see is going away. No. Because at some level, there's still the human connection component that's necessary to be able to work through issues, because we still have the issue. It's not all just chemical imbalances. Right. It's how our brain processes experiences. And that, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where you just take a medication or you plug in a machine and fix that biomechanically. I think that still requires a human connection and a human guide to kind of walk through.
Yeah, the way that I like to think of what therapy is, human cognition and human psychology, the thoughts that we think, the ideas that we are, purposes, principles, meanings, the way we identify ourselves in the constellation of family and humanity and nation and race and gender and identity and religion and politics, all of that comes down to the way we code thoughts. And the way humans code thoughts is with language. And so psychotherapy, sometimes people misunderstand what it is. And they think, oh, isn't it just talking to somebody? Yeah. In the same way that, like, giving somebody medicine is just giving them a pill. Like, you know, but there's a lot of chemistry that went into that and a lot of understanding the patient. Psychotherapy is essentially using human language in all of its forms, not just verbal, but also all the other aspects of the encounter, to recode a human being and ultimately change their lived experience. And there's a lot of aspects to this. You keep up with Penn Sunday School, don't you?
I've fallen behind, but yeah. Okay,
in the last month, Penn has been talking a lot about his experience with psychics. And he's actually taken a really positive step in saying, you know, I disagree with people trying to scam people, but he said, I'm starting to really appreciate, like, I think there's something good happening for the person who's, like, talking to a psychic, because there's something powerful about just being heard and, like, connecting with another human. Yeah. And so he's making room for that in his mind. And then he kind of parlays that into, I think there's something about this that falls into therapy. And it's always interesting to listen to Penn talk about that, because here I am yelling at my car because I want to tell him all about Carl Rogers. And I want to tell him about the foundations of psychotherapy being these first tenets of, like, unlimited positive regard and, like, you know, intuitive understanding and you know, allowing for spontaneous insight and all these other things. So to that point, I think psychotherapy can't change in that sense. I think there will be new methods and new advances and new techniques, and I'm grateful for that. I'm excited for that. But I don't think we'll ever do away with that. I don't think our brains and the way humans have evolved can be changed by plugging us into a database. I think that could add new adjunct technologies. Like one of the things you and I looked at once years ago. Do you remember that time you and I took a trip?
Biofeedback.
Yep. Neurofeedback, yeah. And that's whenever they put a lace of sensors on a person's scalp. It's tied into a computer. That's tied into a TV. And there is all this interesting interface that can happen with games. I think the one that you and I watched, there was a kid, or as a young man, he was tied up to the machine, and he was watching SpongeBob. And whenever his mind thought certain things that mimicked anxiety behavior, SpongeBob's screen would shrink and get smaller. And so then he could capture what he was doing, and he could notice, okay, wait, what was I just doing that made the screen smaller? And then he could change his thought pattern, and he could change himself and soothe himself. And if he did that, the screen would get bigger. And all that screen is based on is the sensors on his scalp that are following the neuro waves.
Right.
That's an interesting technology. It's still in that realm of things that, like, insurance will cover it to some extent. I think it's an adjunct thing. I've never put all my eggs in that basket. I think there's a lot of woo-woo to it, and I don't love it. And I think that there's some areas that are not pinpoint best sciences. Yeah. But I do think it's a very important area that I want to see grow. That's an area for the future. I think would be really cool.
I think that technology would be amazing. It was funny. I was actually just having this conversation with a guy last night that I was talking to at a Christmas party. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of talking about mental health and stigma because we kind of started talking about what I do. And I kind of made the point that, because he kind of said, it's becoming more socially acceptable to talk about mental health.
Right.
know? And I said, yes, it definitely is. I think we're in that process of that moving more kind of into the lexicon of stuff that we're comfortable talking about.
Right.
And I think that that's good. I think substance use disorder is still falling behind that.
Yes.
And falling behind that is gambling use disorder.
Oh, right.
And other process addictions.
Yes.
I think they're still way back there. But eventually, I mean, I would think in 40 years, we will get to a point where it's just common. It's something that probably even, something that is talked about, in the workplace and very openly discussed, as far as your insurance that you have at work and your EAP programs. And it's just something that everybody experiences. That's
an important part of the future of therapy. Mm-hmm. Right now, one of the most broken things about that entire healthcare discipline is the way that it's financed. There's this huge article that I just snagged, and I have it saved in my stuff. I'll have to share it to you. But it talks about the growing trend of people using out-of-network therapists or just paying cash because their benefits don't cover a lot of times, which is a violation of federal law. It's a violation of the Mental Health Parity Act. The article discusses that at length and says this is a gratuitous violation, but the executive branch is in no way enforcing this law. Mm-hmm. They're just not doing it, and so the insurances have pretty much figured that out, and so they're not providing it. Like, they just don't have to do it because there's no consequences. It is more expensive for them to provide the help than to suffer eventually a lawsuit. Right. Even though a class action would be catastrophic for them, but they have no fear that it's going to ever be implemented. So if you're wondering, it's called the Mental Health Parity Act. It makes it so that it is illegal to cover mental health, behavioral health issues at any level inferior to what you cover healthcare. So if you cover surgery at $50,000 to get your stuff removed, you should have $50,000 of coverage for mental health. That's essentially what the law says. But they skirt this all the time. Mm-hmm. And so the article talks about how more and more providers have stepped out. I'm one of them. I do not take insurance. That is not because I'm some elitist bastard. I am, but that's not the reason I don't take insurance.
Doesn't have anything to do with this.
These are two different things.
Completely unrelated.
Two different things. But I don't, because the insurances want to reimburse at about 50 or 40% of what you essentially would need to earn in order to pay off your student loans, cover your office, cover all your debts, and make sure that you could earn a living. And so the only way to do that is to create an agency where you just have, all these rookie therapists at the very beginning of their career that do not demand high esteem, and you just shove them in as many possible sessions as you can, and you clock those sessions at 40 minutes, and you kick those people out as fast as you can, and you create a factory. Mm-hmm. And it's the Costco model. It's the Sam Club model. It's volume at a discount. Mm-hmm. And that's not why we get into healthcare. You don't get into healthcare so that you can live like that. You get into healthcare so you can do quality work. You get to know your patients. So a lot of providers like me are stepping out and saying, I'm not going to touch insurance. I don't care. And so, if we can earn a living without having to do that, we're not going to do that. But then our patients, we feel bad. We want them to be able to use their insurance, but they can't. So one of the big future things to answer Zach's question, I think, is going to be there has to be a fundamental reform of the insurance model, and there has to be a fundamental reform of how healthcare is financed. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating because that already happened twice.
Right.
Twice. The Mental Health Parity Act happened separately from the Affordable Care and Patient Protection Act, which, besides whatever your feelings of Obamacare, that's fine. But inside Obamacare were a bunch of healthcare reforms. And one of them was this. One of them was mental health parity. And so whenever anybody flouted Obamacare, they also flouted all the aspects of it, including things like, hey, mental health is covered. It's a right. It's part of the fundamental basic minimum of what a health insurance plan must cover. But that's all been flouted, so now nobody gets coverage anymore.
Yep.
And nothing stops the insurance companies from just saying, okay, yeah, we cover it, but we offer $1. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so I'm going to leave it. It's like, great.
Yeah.
That's why we offered it. Because
Yeah.
we want you to say no. That way we can be on the record saying, oh, well, we tried to comply with the law. So it's just ridiculous. So, but yeah, I think technology, NeuroLace, Elon Musk is talking a lot about NeuroLace and the idea of like creating an interface between human brain and like some kind of technology. I think we're on our way to that right now. I think there's technology that like you can think thoughts and like the I don't know if you've seen this, but whenever you think words in your head, your larynx actually starts transmitting electrical pulses as if you're going to speak. So when you're speaking in your own head, even though you're not engaging your vocal cords or your throat, your larynx is actually twitching essentially with each word, preparing to speak in case you were to speak. That's why you can just start speaking mid-sentence that you were thinking in your head.
Right.
And so Stanford did a thing with this, I think it was Stanford, where they actually put a sensor on the larynx and you can speak with your thoughts. Because every single impulse is a signature move. So basically they just figured it out. And like when you think the word apple, it always makes the same exact signature. So then you could just think apple and the machine next to you that's plugged in will go apple. Isn't that cool? So like you're on your way to being able to, quote unquote, read people's minds, but you can't read their minds. You can read what they can think at you, right? Yeah. And I think that's a really cool development that we're heading in.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
One day, man. Which could be really cool development for people that are in comas.
Right.
Because then you could put that machine on their larynx and be like, can you hear us? And if they can think the thoughts, yes, I can. Now you could talk to them through the coma. Isn't that interesting? We're not there yet.
Yeah.
It's a cool future.
That doesn't seem like it's tied together.
Yeah.
That's a big leap there at the end.
Yes.
The
that's
coma
the future.
part.
That's the future,
but,
man.
I mean, all the machine is doing is reading a physical movement of a body part. And in a coma, a lot of your physical movements are restricted.
That's a good question. I wonder if like the larynx is like cut off.
Because it's not reading brain waves, it's reading
the larynx.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know. But guys, it's the year 2000.
I mean, it's a neat
Anything's
thing.
possible.
The year 2000.
Also, 2020. It's so funny because I know we're getting to the end of the show, but 2020. I've over the years I've had optometry, colleagues or patients, and it's really funny because I always ask like, "Hey, I'm just curious. Are you guys like gearing up for 2020?" Like, and they're like, "Yes." Like every commercial you see is going to be optometry in 2020. Like the commercials write themselves. Like it's 2020, and so can you. It's like, yep. Like every optometrist I know is like taking out loans to like market their practices.
Oh, speaking of, I need LASIK advice.
Oh, Nick got LASIK.
Yeah.
Good.
I just need like LASIK advice.
Do you
and,
wear
like,
glasses,
referrals.
Jacob?
I have contacts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm legally blind.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. So you're thinking about getting LASIK?
Without my contacts in right now, I literally would not be able to tell that there was a person where you are.
Wow. Very, very thick.
My eyesight was pretty bad too. Like one of my prescriptions was like a -7.
Okay.
And then the other one's like a 6.5. And yeah, best money I ever spent.
Yeah.
Now the downside is when your eyesight is as bad as yours,
right?
Or in my case, mine. I'm wearing contacts now.
Yeah.
Because eventually my eyes kind of started going back.
Right.
Because they have to take out, and my contacts don't fit as well either.
Oh, interesting.
Because they have to, remove so much of the tissue that when the flap kind of goes back down, it doesn't. It changes the shape. It's a flatter shape.
Oh, neat.
So you can get contacts that are like flatter a little bit,
right?
And that does help a little bit, but it's still like I still have some problems with, especially my right eye for some reason.
Well, didn't you? It goes away, doesn't it? You told me. I remember once I saw Nick
That's
wearing
literally
glasses.
what I just said.
Okay.
God, if you're not talking, you don't care.
I was reading on our. I'm preparing for the next segment. You're welcome, you bastard.
Jesus.
But wait a minute. Let's go back to this. You've gotten LASIK, haven't you, Nick? Stare into the light and let it burn thee away.
All right. Well, I got nothing. I don't know what else. I'm done.
Well, we're at the end of the show. So on Twitter, one of our patrons, Corey McTits, She put out there, she said, this was a couple of weeks ago, but she brought it up on 19th of November. And she tweeted to us and she said, at Pod Therapy Guys, Tainted Love was playing in my therapist's waiting room. And since then, right? And since then, I've been trying to come up with the most inappropriate song to be playing in your therapist's office. So far, I have Happiness is a Warm Gun and Every Breath You Take. Any suggestions? So we retweeted this.
Every Breath You Take is a
good one.
Yeah.
So we retweeted this and basically promised that some of the best submissions would be read on the show. And so I want to read those. Jacob replied, and he threw in Crazy by Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty solid. Also, Gnarls Barkley, Crazy is a good one, too. I think it was Data Scoop put in Rehab by Amy Winehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Oh, they tried to make me go to rehab, and I said, "Can you just imagine sitting there in your therapist's office?" Like, another one that I liked was Jumper by Third Eye Blind.
Oh, yeah.
I wish you would step back from that ledge. Actually, that one's kind of probably works pretty good, but Undone by Weezer was another one that was put in there. Paul from ICS submitted Every Step You Take by The Police.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. There was some good Don't Try Suicide by Queen. Fade to Black was in there. Dude, there was a lot of good submissions. There were some really good ones. Data Scoop went nuts. Cocaine by Eric Clapton.
Oh, yeah.
he came up with a lot of them.
That one seems fine.
Heartache Tonight by the Eagles.
It's just a good song.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, there was some really good ones. So, Uncomfortably Numb by American Football. Creep by Radiohead. I thought that was a really good one. That was from Linda B. Yeah, there were some really, really good ones. So, Suicide Solution by Ozzy. Yeah. Rehab by Amy Winehouse came up a bunch. And I thought that was really, really good. So, yep. That was good. Nick, I noticed you didn't have any answers for that.
I didn't.
I thought this would be your opopportunity to dust off your classic rock.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
I was going to reply, but I kind of forgot to go back to that.
Yeah, well, that was a good one anyway.
Yeah, sorry. In other news, we are in our playoffs for Fantasy Football League.
We made the playoffs.
Well, yeah.
You and I made it.
Yeah, we'll be out soon.
Yeah, we're both about to get... Today we're both getting dropped, but we got in, so I'm really proud of us, and we didn't have to face each other. We're both in the playoffs, and the other two people that got into the playoffs was Borderline of Scrimmage, Leon Kassab, who's just killing, and then Andrea, Therodactyl. You're facing her.
Yes.
And she is drop kicking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not even close.
No, it's brutal.
Yeah, and the last checks I did, Leon's throwing me against the wall too. So we made it to the playoffs, but I think that's about as far as you and I are going. Yeah. Is that the semis or the quarters? Is that what we are? I think it's the semis.
I don't know. I just know it's over.
Quarters is before semis.
You know what? Right. Oh my gosh. I just checked it. I'm above Leon.
I was going to say you don't know this, but Michael Thomas has done well.
He did. He's at like 30.4, and Deshaun Watson went up to 28.1. Man, holy cow! He went off in the second half. I have a shot, Nick.
And New Orleans,
I might go to the finals.
And New Orleans just engineered yet another end of game 2-minute drill, and they are now up on the 49ers.
Oh, I'm coming for you, buddy. I'm coming for you, Leon. I might go to the finals, baby. I might be taking on Andrea. Well, we will see. Nick's not, though. He's dead. Nick's dead to rights.
Nick's out.
Nick hobbled in the game with, like, everybody on bye.
Nick doesn't also have Michael Thomas and Deshaun Watson.
I'll be honest. I knew I was done before I knew I made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, I just...
your team was already capped out.
Yeah.
So other announcements, if you go back to the Patreon, I lost a bet to Nick, and so he received his beer.
Got my Guinness.
Got his Guinness.
Yeah.
Because I
the
could not
extra
find
stout.
the Primo.
Extra stout.
Extra stout. I don't even know what that means.
Not
What
even
is
regular stout.
I don't even
No,
wanna
it's
know.
like stout, but more.
And it's like stout, but extra.
Do you know what stout is? It's more of that.
More. Yeah.
It's just more of that thing. Other news to point out, two other big announcements. There is physical scoop mail. I know a lot of you don't know what I'm talking about, so let me take a second. There's this other podcast. It's called Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social.
Give us a listen.
And, worth a peek. I'd say give it 5 minutes and see how you feel. Good show, good people. Jacob's affiliated with it. And my mom sent them a gift, and so it's actually sitting to the side of Jacob's.
Nice.
Yep. So physical scoop mail is sitting next to him. So if you want to
It's
find
just a
out,
box of guano.
yeah, that's all it is. She made it herself. It's homemade.
If she had actually just like
I was
gone
wondering
to
what
a
that
pet
smell was.
gone to like a pet supply store,
Dude,
and bought
I
a
wish.
box of guano.
I
That
wish.
would be fun.
I should have done that and then said it was from her.
Yeah.
So if you want to find out what's in that box, you'll have to listen to a future episode of ICS. I'm not sure when it will rise to the top of their queue, but take a listen for that. And then other news.
It'll probably actually go up before you talk about it on this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
their stuff
all right.
comes up before
Yeah.
ours. So go back and find Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social
It'll probably be the one that came out a couple of days ago.
from whenever you heard this episode. Go back and find their feed. And then in other news, Nick and I are wrapping up Season 2 of Pod Therapy. We keep track of our work here by seasons. We started our gig January, the very first week of January 2017, I think is when we started. Was it? No, 18.
18.
Yeah, 18. So we did that first year, and then we started a tradition of ending with our season finale, which airs in January, basically to kick off the new season. So it's both a finale and sort of the premiere of the next season. So our Season 2 finale is going to be the first week of January. Things that we do traditionally, we do an Xmas gift exchange. Nick, I've already bought your gift, and I am super excited about it. It's being delivered on Wednesday to me, obviously.
Oh,
but
good.
yeah, no, you're going to like this one's a physical gift. A real gift. I really bought you a gift last year. I'm sorry that the USPS has ruined it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you missed out on your Iowa magazine, your Iowa Home and Garden magazine.
it's all right.
But this year I got you a physical gift. I'm pretty excited about it. So we're going to do our gift exchange. And then every year when we do the season finale, we also take questions. Obviously, we always take questions on the show. But folks will write in with questions just for us personally on a human level. People get to know us. Our Patreons get to know us. Sometimes this is an opportunity because usually on the show, we tend to give advice, but sometimes this is our chance to just kind of lay back and talk more casually with folks. People wrote in last year. And then we usually play some kind of fun, marriage and dating game. And it's usually somehow competitive and there's tears and joy. And sometimes we have a guest. So we'll see. There's discussion of maybe a guest.
Potentially.
We'll see how that works. So
Yeah.
anyway, so those are the big announcements. No big apologies. And I don't think since our last episode that we taped that we've had any new Patreons that I know of.
Have we? I thought we did.
Maybe. If you've decided to give us money to help support the show and we're not acknowledging you, I blame Nick.
We'll
leave
get you
it
next
right.
week for sure. We
Yeah. Oh, and Justin said he's finishing the jingle.
Oh, yes.
For Jacob's life coaching thing.
yes.
Yeah,
I saw
I'm
that.
really excited for this. This business is taking off, man.
Yeah.
It's already doing better than your private practice.
Yeah, no, he's already killing it. I'm actually going to see if I can co-locate with him, kind of grift off of his success.
I'm sure the jingle's going to be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm
fine.
super excited about this. But we do want to thank our Patreons, especially our mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, that they're producers. So thank you, Smitty Scoop. Thanks, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, who is the chairman of the board, Kayla Lansbury, David Data Scoop Violon, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, and ex officio board member Ellie O'Dare.
If you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time that we've got for this week's session. We want to thank our landlords, the Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourselves. Share this episode with someone who needs it by opening this episode's description in your podcast app and copying and pasting the link provided into your social media. Don't forget, you can find us at facebook.com/podtherapy, on Twitter at PodTherapyGuys, and now at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tanchman.
I'm Jim Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week. All right. And we got to get out of here because ICS is up next.
Bounce. Thank you, Patreons. See you next time.
Bye.